Welcome to Best of the Northwest.
All right, well, really excited to be here. See a couple of familiar faces in the crowd. But before we start, I have to confess, I do have an agenda for being here. And that is, I'm kind of an outdoor recreational evangelist. And if you're not already, my mission is to make you a weekend warrior, to get out on the trails year-round. Give you a little bit of my background. As you heard, my formative years were in western Montana. It's me and my sister in our sport utility vehicle there. My father's a forest ranger and my mom a teacher. And we spent our weekends in the mountains. It's elective hardships. And I think my parents were kind of along with that sort of teaching, dragging me in their ski backpacks through freezing weather and frozen cabins. And I think it might have done something to warp my little brain, because it put me into a pattern of reoccurring outdoor adventures. So fast forward a few years, and I started competing, or I should actually say participating in national World Cup master races. It was more like me following a bunch of ex-Olympians, panting and gagging and just hoping to cross the finish line. But my claim to fame came in the National Masters photography annual, not because of my skiing performance, but because of my rhine-coated ice gear. It was actually, about 15 below zero that day in the 15K in Falun, Sweden.
Pretty cold today.
It makes the snow really cold and really slow, so it was excruciatingly difficult. And I was glad to just cross the finish line. So that was my trophy.
What do you think, Brian?
Time for my shower. It's
I spent my time after college here at PLU exploring the crags and the mountains, and skiing in the winter and alpine climbing in the summer. I was pretty stoked about it. There's so much here. The more I dug in deeper, the more excited I got. And, wow, this place is phenomenal. World-class peaks, crags. And poured through all the classic guidebooks, the Becky guides, Classic Climbs of Washington, trying to imagine what a route would be like from a little chicken scratch topo like that to getting to the actual thing, and just, inventing in your mind, what is this experience going to be like? And then loved planning the trips and anticipating what it would be like, using whatever research tools were available, books, web forums, trip reports, that sort of thing. So spent time cragging around the state, preparing physically and mentally to climb routes on Great Rock. And then when it came to business time, it's actually terrifying. Hanging on your fingertips and toes, on the top of Alpine Peak with the weather coming in, looked like Mordor, about ready to come and crush you. But those sort of experiences are kind of character building and memorable. Take something like that to be something that you really remember and look fondly on afterwards, which I believe they refer to as type 3 fun. Mountaineering, it's fun when you're done with it, right? So I was having a great time doing all this, and then something unexpected and life-changing happened. 2005, our identical twin girls were born. And so this changed things a little bit. So went from, big alpine adventures every weekend. I don't know if you can see my shirt, it says, "We just want to be free to climb without being hassled by the man." I think it's an Easy Rider reference, something like that, a little modified. Was it all over? Was this the end? Was I going to be relegated to this on my weekends? Mortgages, Costco trips, parking lots, and overcrowded shopping malls, was this our life? On a national level, kids are spending way more time on digital screens. What would happen to my children? Would they have the same formative experiences that I had growing up? what would shape and mold their minds? And what was happening to our society at large? Yeah, pun intended. How would we fight against this? So as I was going along, I had these mind outbursts, these things kept happening in my head, like of what the future might hold.
Are you or your family suffering from nature deficit disorder? Nearly 50% of Americans didn't participate in a single outdoor recreation activity in 2013. Inactivity raises the risk for obesity, heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes, and certain types of cancer. For kids, a lack of time outside can cause attention deficit issues, depression, and myopia. Our connection with nature is suffering. 80% of Americans live in urban areas. National park funding decreased 13% between 2011 and 2013. Fortunately, Best of the Northwest has the cure. Thankfully, the Pacific Northwest has nature in abundance. Hiking burns 250 calories per hour on average. There are 3.4 million acres of wilderness within 100 miles of the Space Needle, and there are over 3,000 hiking trails in Washington. Getting kids outside can cause increased attention span, creativity, and connection to nature. Go outdoors and play. Follow Best of the Northwest to adventure. The trails await.
So I thought, let's be proactive about this. This is an opportunity. We've got 4 new sets of little eyes to see the world through. And so I started asking myself, well, what is out there? What's in between these alpine peaks, these craggy precipices that I've spent my time, venturing to? The spaces in between that are left undiscovered, alpine lakes, lush forests, cascade waterfalls, stream corridors. They became the destination, not just an approach to get to the reach of the base of the climb.
What do you think? You like the snow?
Yeah.
So we worked through multiple size kit carriers, from cloth packs, front packs, baby Bjorns, frame kit backpacks, and started hitting the trails. Each weekend exploring a different location with handy camcorder, I guess that's a tape camcorder, experiencing a sense of place and a rich history of the area trails. So here we have the Stimson Bullet fireplace up at Squaw Mountain. And finding classic routes with backpacks getting slightly heavier on each weekend outing. And they soon started to explore on their own, and we adopted a kid relay technique where one of us would run ahead to the destination if it was an alpine lake or something like that, while the other one hung back with the kids, entertaining them or bribing them with chocolate, whatever worked. And then we would reconvene again and then meet back at the trailhead. And that seemed to work pretty well. So we shared a lot of wonders in the natural world, plants and animals, trying to have as much fun as possible, pushing them out on their own, encouraging, bribing when we needed to. So after 10 years, we've done over 200 different trails in western Washington and the Cascades, and fast forward to 2015, have another little baby start all over with. But it's just easier carrying one. We get to trade it on and on. So we set some goals of completing all the hikes in some of our favorite guidebooks. So it took us a while, but we did all the hikes in Beyond Mount Si guide. And I got to meet John Zilli later to get my book autographed. We kind of turned the page corners, dog-eared them after we finish every hike. And then we moved on to complete the 60 Hikes Within 60 Miles guidebook. And then had the privilege of meeting guidebook author Bryce Stevens, who's one of the founders of Trails.com. He's been a kind of great mentor for me at developing what we're doing with the Best of the Northwest project. We packaged up to 10 years of footage, GPS maps, and trail notes, and in 3 years built a YouTube channel with over 150 trail videos, which keep improving. And best is yet to come, and a responsive website to showcase the most loved trails in western Washington and Cascades. Here's a little 90-second clip to show the GPS of the website and what we're developing for the year-round trails.
With Best of the Northwest, you're only 2 steps from the most loved trails of Western Washington and the Cascades. Find trail videos and GPS maps by season. Nordic skiing trails in the winter. Seaside, low elevation and snow-free trails in the spring. High country routes and alpine lakes at peak wildflower season. And trails that catch the fall colors and swelling waterfalls in autumn. Find trails by location. Use our Western Washington overview map to narrow down by corridor and Washington's 3 national parks. Click for an overview video of that region. Follow the link below to the corridor page, to its own map of top trails, all with full GPS routes together in one reference map. Click on the icon to play the trail video. The link below leads to the trail page, which features overview video, written description, custom map with trail stats, and links at the bottom for recent trip reports and conditions. Step 2, tap and go, for GPS coordinates and driving directions to your next adventure. Find routes by difficulty based on the Yosemite Decimal System rating scale 1 to 5. Hiking trails go up to Class 4 without requiring ropes and technical gear for rock or glacier travel. Elevation gain and distance round out the ratings. The trail awaits. The next 2 steps are up to you.
All right, so why are we doing all this, right? This is a lot of work. One of my mentors, who's a prominent figure in the advertising world, says that the feeling of creation is one of the most euphoric feelings that you can have that lasts the longest. So I think creating something like this, something that we're so passionate about. So hopefully you'll come away from this evening with a great idea on some trips that you can take while there's still some snow and while the snow leaves and turns to green.
Sign up for monthly email blasts. Like us on Facebook. Follow on Twitter for the latest YouTube videos of our seasonally recommended trails. Share with your friends and look for future challenges and events down the road. The trails await. The next 2 steps are up to you.